Global Politics with Jim Martin. Today, which is only a few days after the negative 18 debacle, it's about 50 degrees out, and we are well into false spring number one here in Nebraska. I had some thoughts on negotiations that I wanted to share. So I used to own a business, which qualifies me a little bit to be able to talk about this. And I have been a professor of leadership and political science for the last 15 years. So looked at a lot of those kinds of things, case studies and such. This stuff is pretty basic. If you and someone else have some kind of mutual interest, then you have a discussion over what that looks like. And as anyone knows who has bought a house or done anything like that, you generally sit down and say, okay, so what do you want for it? And then you make some kind of offer. And that is either the start of negotiation or the conclusion. It depends on what it is. If you can't reach some sort of mutually agreeable stance, then it doesn't happen. When you immediately walk in and say, well, I'm willing to give you this, and this, you're already at a disadvantage, because then you've placed it in a seller's market. So they're going to pressure you to provide more concessions. What we've seen over the past dizzying few days is Donald Trump first provide a diplomatic recognition to Russia, exchange ambassadors, all that sort of thing. So normalizing relations on that standpoint. Declare that NATO would never place troops in Ukraine as peacekeepers, that he viewed Ukraine as the aggressor in the conflict, and that Zelensky was a dictator. Then furthermore, restricted the ability of Ukraine to use US weapons beyond Russian borders. And then yesterday instructed his UN ambassador to vote against a European resolution condemning Russia for the invasion on the anniversary of it. So you've already made numerous concessions. Meanwhile, the Russians have made none. And they have no reason to, because there's no pressure on them to do so. They're perfectly satisfied to continue slowly, incrementally destroying Ukraine while losing thousands of their troops a month. They don't care about that at all. That's not a concern for Vladimir Putin and his ilk. So just a thought for those of you who have thoughts and feelings. I welcome you to share those in the comments, and I look forward to talking to you on the next one. Thanks. Oh, and one more thought. The attempt to pressure Ukraine into giving up 50% of the revenues from its mineral resources and the sole management of its ports and ports of entry to the United States. How would you feel if you were asked to do that, if you were the leader of a country? It's almost as if the opponent in this negotiation is not Russia, it is Ukraine and the Europeans. Strange times indeed.